So good morning. Yesterday was a big day in the restoration of Christine. It was the first time I got her running where I could let her run. A weekend ago, I started her and I had an incompatible oil filter. It was the right part number, but the gasket was a little too inset and it didn't seal, and I was puking oil all over the floor twice. And then when I figured it out, I got it straight. I was able to run Christine and go through a little bit of a break-in time. But when I did, I have a bad valve clatter. It's loud. And at first I thought, okay, well, maybe this is normal, and maybe it's got something to do with, you know, some changes we made to the motor. It's different parts or whatnot. But then I got to thinking, it's like those are the previous lifters that I had on this 307. And even though I changed the valve covers, I mean, I had aluminum valve covers already, so it's amplifying a sound that shouldn't be there. That's the issue. So I got to digging into it, and it's telling me it's one of two things. It's either the valve geometry, that the push rod lengths are a little wrong, because I have that original 307 block that I started with, and then I have rebuilt HO305 heads. So the 601 castings. So maybe the deck height's a little shorter, maybe the valves are at a different height, maybe the valve stems have been tipped. You know, maybe the grind of the valve stems down a little bit to resurface them, and maybe all that's resulted in maybe, like, I don't know, a difference in the push rod length, and maybe the rocker arms aren't seating just right, so, or riding just right. So it's either that, or it's the push, or it's the lifters themselves. So one of the two. I'm going to figure it out today. I'm not going to let it go. So that's what my next step is going to be. Is we're going to diagnose the sound in this motor and see if we can't get it right. So I've got a light shining here, and it looks like with that valve fully closed, it looks like the retainer and the spring are clearing the rocker arm, and the rocker arm is riding way on the back. So it could be too short. The other place that it could potentially be banging is here at the back of the slot, but I think I'd have noticed that. Let me poke around with some clay and see if I can't figure out how much room I've got. Well, I'm not liking this. I don't know if you can see it. It's faint. It is very faint. But that's tiny bits of metal. That's never good. Never good. So I'm going to start it up without the valve cover on, and I'm going to listen. I've got a screwdriver I'm going to use like a stethoscope, and I'm going to play around with the adjustment and see if I can't make this sound improve or get worse. Oh wow! Wow, that was bad. That's that sound that everybody loves about Christine. She's got that little choppy little lope. It's not like a big pronounced lope. It's like a and they just love it. Love it. I think I found my problem. It's the lifters. Just set her down. And by the way, I had 70 pounds of pressure while that was going on. So there's no amount of valve adjusting that's going to fix that. I got to pull that manifold off, replace those lifters, break it in, and cross my fingers for that. So there's that. All right, let me regroup. All right, it's the next day. Yesterday, the last thing I did was I diagnosed Christine with those lifters, those bad lifters. And I've convinced myself we're changing them. All right, so I just want to mention a few things if I haven't already mentioned them. But when I built this 307, this is a freshen, right? And I was so afraid. I've had, in the 1990s, when they changed the oil formulation and they got away from sulfur and phosphate in the oil, right? I had 3 cams that in the 90s that I lost on rebuild motors. And they were all these small block Chevys, 3 different cams. And I decided, you know, it's like when this one came up, I've just been gun shy. So I wanted to keep the same cam, so I kept the same lifters. And had I known that this was going to be the outcome, I'd have swapped them. You know, maybe I didn't do something with the lifters themselves. If I'd have been able to be clairvoyant, predict the future, then maybe I'd have taken them apart and maybe serviced them. I don't know. But anyway, that's where we're at. So last night I ordered from Summit. I ordered 16 sealed power lifters. And fingers crossed that 16 of them come back with crowns on the surface. I'm going to check them. And we're going to put them in. So what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to go ahead and prep. I'm going to take apart the top end. I'm going to pull up, drain some fluids, pull the distributor, pull a manifold, and get ready to go ahead and put that in. But that's what we're going to do. There it is. Got everything out. According to the clock, the phone, it was 45 minutes from start to finish for me to get that done. It's not too bad. All right, here's my box of parts. These are the lifters. So you can see they were spinning. They were doing just fine. This is part of the reason why I wanted to keep them. You know, problem is mechanically they were just tired. So if I'd have known, you know, hindsight being 20/20, yeah, I'd have ash canned them. But I kept them. I didn't want to risk wiping that lobe. So now I am going to risk wiping the lobe, but it's out of necessity because I know these are junk. So I ordered my lifters from Summit. It's coming out of Arlington, Texas. I am in New Orleans, so Louisiana, right? So that's about, and that's typically the next day. If I get my order in soon enough at Summit, it'll be on my porch tomorrow night. So the next day. Sometimes it's the day following. So it's either 1 or 2 days. So today's Monday. I'll either get the lifters tomorrow, and if they come in time and I'm mentally ready, I'll go ahead and I'll start putting this thing back together. If not, it'll be Wednesday. But I'm going to come back to it. I'll see you as soon as I get my lifters, and we'll continue getting Christine running right. So bear with me. Well, we're back at it again. Got all my parts in this week. Got my fingers crossed that everything's going to go well today. Let me show you what we got going on. So I took apart the top end during the week. I've already cleaned off all the gasket material. I got a brand new Felpro intake manifold gasket to go in. I got a whole bunch of lubricants, additives, new things to go in. Let me show you what's in the box. The lifters. I got 16 Seal Power lifters. These are what's the model number? HT817s. Unfortunately, flat tappets are gone by the wayside. They are obsolete. Not many motors are using them anymore. These are hydraulic flat tappets, but here's the business end of things, and this is where trouble starts, right there. Right there. That's where trouble starts. If this surface isn't right, then everything goes to goes kablooey pretty quickly. You'll flatten out a lobe. Let me tell you a little bit of a story here. So in the 1980s, putting cams in motors wasn't a big deal. You just, in fact, you pull the radiator out, leave the motor in, pull a timing cover, pull a cam out, put the cam in, boom, and then you'd shoot. I don't remember spending a whole lot of time worrying about break-ins, splash oiling and all that. But the science behind it is when you have a flat tappet cam doesn't have direct oiling at the lobe. So it's only splash oiling. Well, the lobes are ground with a slight tilt to the face, and the lifters are ground with a slight crown. It's about 50 thousandths to I want to say it's 50. I'm sorry, I forget how many thousandths it is. But anyway, it's slight. It's slight. So the intention is when you put the lifter in, the crown and the slope of the cam lobe is supposed to cause that lifter to spin. So it doesn't like stay wearing on one surface, and under spring pressure, when you're at full lift, you got a lot of spring pressure. Well, you want that thing rotating so that it doesn't create a hot spot, it doesn't wear out the lobe. Well, the second part of the science is in the oil chemistry. So there's supposed to be zinc and phosphate and a whole bunch of other materials that basically what happens is a newly ground cam needs to be chemically hardened. So what'll happen is when you first fire up the motor and it's a brand new cam grind, brand new lifters, that chemical bond isn't there. You're looking for something like a non-stick frying pan. So you got to get the motor up to temperature, you got to get the parts up to temperature, and you got to get the oil sloshing around, and you have to have the right chemicals in the oil. You have to have the zinc and the phosphate or phosphorus in the oil in order to impregnate that hot metal surface, and that creates a chemical hardening, a chemical layer, a chemical barrier between the lifter and the lobe to not flatten a lobe. So what happened? In the 1990s, they reformulated oil and they took out, or they lowered all of these chemicals. Why? Because the new motors were going with rollers. They didn't need it anymore. So what did they do? They said, well, we're going to take it out, and that's going to improve emissions. Okay, hooray for the environment, but boo for these old motors. So what happened is, when you were like, we were all these old school hot rodders saying, all right, I'm just going to pull a cam, put the cam in it, and then suddenly we go through break-in and we're destroying cam lobes instantaneously, like within the first 5 minutes of firing up the motor. Just completely wipe out a lobe, completely flat, rockers flapping around, you're dead. Whole motor got to come completely down, pull all that metal out. So that was very heartbreaking if you've ever had it happen to you. And I've had it happen to me not once, not twice, but 3 times in the 1990s. Not knowing what it was. It wasn't until the teens, 20 years later, we figure out, oh, holy cow, that's what was going on. It was the chemistry of the oil. So now we are using, now for these old motors, don't use synthetic, we're using like Shell Rotella. It's a diesel oil. It's got higher content of zinc and phosphate in it, or phosphorus. But the issue is, it's still not enough. It's enough to keep them running. It's not enough to break them in. So you got to use that additive. All right, so that's one of the things. The second thing is, of course, break-in. When you do, assembly. assembly lube. So we got an assembly lube we're going to use. Let me show you that. Here, this is from Comp. This is what I'm going to use. I'm going to use this on the bottom of the lifters, and in the lifter valley, the bottom of the lifter, like let's use this one for an example. The bottom of the lifter goes directly in, so you can put that in. But look, there's also a return. There's a return to keep that oil on the camshaft, so it goes right to that same lobe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to squirt in and try to recover that lobe. Even though that lobe's broken in, I want as much of this as possible so I do not wipe out a lobe today. That is the theme of the day. Get this thing assembled, get it oil tight, watertight, but do not lose a cam lobe. So I'm going to climb back off my soapbox and we're going to go ahead and assemble things. Let's go. So these lifters, they're no longer produced domestically. Everything's produced in China. And these are not generic white box, just small block Chevy lifters. These are Seal Power. Seal Power is trying to maintain their reputation, I believe. Put a little faith in that, cross our fingers. So these are two lifters that came straight out of the box, and one of the things that I was talking about was the crown. So it's such a subtle crown that it's really hard to tell. So what you need to do is you need to put the two of them back to back and make sure that they rock. And I know the video is not going to pick it up, but I don't think. But there is a slight crown. Let's get really close up on it. There is a slight enough crown that allows these two surfaces to pinch, and maybe that's picking up on it, but I can feel it. So my job now is to take all of these lifters and do that little test with them before I put them in, and if there's any that are flat, I've got to go get another lifter. So all the lifters check out, which is good. It would make me nervous if any one of them didn't, but they all check out. So now the lifter lube, cam and lifter installation lube. This is from Comp, but I want to just show you how thick this is. It's like a syrup, but it's not crazy thick. So this is enough to flow around. It's not a paste, but we're going to make sure that every one of these lifters gets a good dose of that. I'm going to make sure that every one of the lobes gets a good squirt of this. So we're going to go ahead and insert all these lifters into those 16 bores. I'm going to show you how I set the valves. So now I'm at top dead center, and this is the number 1 cylinder. So there's the intake and the exhaust. And some people say you spin the push rod, and when you feel resistance, then you tighten it quarter, half, or 3/4 of a turn past that. And I don't rely on spinning it. I rely on tapping it. So I want to make sure that I can hear a tap here. And then when I stop hearing that tap, I'll tighten until I stop hearing that tap, and then I'll know I'm at 0 lash. So I'm going to listen and feel, and right there I am just about at 0 lash. So now I'm going to go a half turn. So I'm going to start here, bring it all the way to here, maybe a little bit more. All right, so that one's set. Same thing here on the exhaust. So you can hear that tap. I'm just going to keep feeling. And then sometimes you have to back it off. Back it off a little bit sometimes and listen and feel until you know you got it at 0. A little bit loose. That's just about at 0 right there. Again, a little more than a half turn right there. So those 2 valves are set. All right, I got all the valves adjusted. The new intake manifold gasket is in place. Now I've got to set the manifold. It's important that it goes straight down without shifting this gasket. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Oh yeah, all my bolt holes are right where they need to be. It's at the top of the head, We're good. All right, bolt holes are centered front to back. I'm aligned good, so now let me go ahead and get all the bolts in, and we'll continue. All right, we're about to turn the key. So let's go over everything. Make sure, all right. Intake manifold bolted tight, carburetor's on, linkage is on, choke is open, valve covers are tight, PCV valve is hooked up, distributor's dropped in, top dead center, initial timing now. It's clamped down but enough to where I can turn it. I've got oil in it, 5 quarts. I've got the break-in in it, the ZDDP. I've got coolant in it, cap is on, fuel line is connected. All 3 hose clamps that I disconnected are clamped. Carburetor is bolted tight. Plug wires 1843657 I discovered back there my plug wires were touching the headers, or at least the little dividing loom, so I'm gonna have to do something with that, but right now it's clear enough to where I can get it running. Coil is hooked back up to the distributor, to the positive and negative. Dipstick back in, so here goes nothing. So this is going to be completely different than before. I'm going to have to get it up to RPM, run it at about 2,000 RPMs, 2,500 RPMs to get that splash oil going, break in those lifters. A lot of it more. I don't know why she's not kicking. Let me noodle with it and see if I don't have a wire disconnected or something. No. All right, it's something else. Might be a connection on that distributor. One of those wires. Those wires are real flimsy, and I'm wondering if I didn't, in tightening it, same thing, if that little wire didn't pull out of the terminal end. All right, my apologies. Took a long time to get to this. I had a bunch of problems. I shimmed that distributor, and it had all my parts all nice, pretty, and painted and coated, and I didn't know it, but I defeated the ground to the body of the Protronix distributor, and I fought that all day long, and then once I figured that out, I got it to fire up. Then, I'm bringing her up to temperature, something happens with my Power Master alternator. The belt is smoking. I had to kill it, cut the belt, peel it off, get it fired up. So I'm running it at RPM because I do not want to lose a load. So I'm sorry for not seeing the fire up, but there it is, it's running. Running cooler. Now, I'm on battery voltage right now. Hitting 60 PSI. No smoke anywhere. So far, so good. All right, it's been a couple of days. 2 days ago, I went ahead and I broke in those new lifters. I haven't started up Christine since. So now I got my timing light back on, and I'm going to go ahead and try to start Christine. I had to also, I also had to pick up the distributor and turn it because I'd ran out of motion. I had it advanced to where the vacuum canister was tapping onto the manifold and I couldn't advance it anymore. I don't think I need to advance it anymore, but that's not where I want to let it sit. So this Pertronix distributor has it has 24 degrees of mechanical advance, which means that it gives you 12 degrees if you want 36 all in, which is what I want. It's set to allow you to set this to 12 degrees initial timing without the vacuum advance on. So I need to disconnect the vacuum advance, start it up, and then check the idle timing and make sure that it's sitting at about 12. And then I can go ahead and put the vacuum advance back on and make sure that when I'm at RPM that I'm not any more than 36 or so. So that's where my sweet spot is, I think, on this motor. Or on all of these, the first generation small blocks without vortex heads. You know, so that's where the timing likes to be, about 36 degrees all in. So still fine tuning. Next thing, hopefully I can get to the point where I can adjust the carburetor and start really dialing this thing in. So here we go today. I just started it back up. It's snappy. It's happy. Very happy. And I haven't even started fine tuning this yet. I haven't set the idle mixtures. I need to put a vacuum gauge on here and tune it up. But now I need to figure out this timing. And she likes a lot of advanced timing to start. I don't know, but it just started just now. I don't know how it's going to behave when it's cold. So I'm concerned about that. I don't know how to put a lockout in a distributor, lockout that mechanical advance to lock it out at something less than 24 degrees if I have to have more initial to get it to kick. So we'll see. Yeah, she sounds good. It is a motor with attitude, and it's a 307, and I'm gonna own that. I am gonna own it, and I'm gonna want that 307. Who else is rocking a 307 out there? I'm pleased. I'm really pleased. The valve train's a little noisy. We'll get used to it. We'll get used to it. I think that's probably got something to do with the springs and retainers. You know, those are different heads, but it does sound a bit like a flat tappet. It's a little bit loud when you know, when the hood's open, but I'll tell you what, it's snappy, it's crisp. That poly, that 600 CFM is just right. I had a 750 double pumper on, and I didn't realize it was 750 on it before, and it was just choking. This little 307. Now I've got this cam is advanced 4 degrees, so I've got the timing. I got the camshaft advanced for low power response. Got this cam to wake it up. So this 290 degree cam, these HO305 heads, the 600 CFM Holley. It should all be system matched, but I'll tell you what, we're on our way home now. We're home free. We really are home free. I'm gonna just start doing details from here. I've got some huge news, huge news coming out. So pretty soon we're going to cruise in the coast, but as soon I've got a big announcement to make. I'll wait for it though. It's a teaser. So sorry to keep you in suspense, but anyway, do hope you liked this episode. Hope you got something out of it. And if anything, hopefully it was entertaining. But as always, if you're enjoying the videos, please give them a thumbs up. And if you're enjoying my channel, I'd love a subscription. So until I see you next time, take care of yourself. Cheers.